Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining us on Hope TV News Watch on the 17th day of September 2021. My name is Grace Wangui and our sign language interpreter tonight is Boniface Murithi. We have a packed bulletin prepared for you. Let's begin. We begin with contentious matters of fuel. Public transport industry stakeholders have threatened to increase fare by 10 to 20% following the recent hike in fuel prices. Since April announced the increment of fuel prices, the government has been met with a lot of criticism, with different political leaders calling upon the government to take action to salvage the situation. The increase comes despite lower global crude price in August, which averaged $70.75 a barrel, down from $75.17 in July, and a drop in the landed cost of fuel at the port of Mombasa. Faith Imani has the details.
Led by the Matatu Welfare Association National Chair, who is also the Secretary to the Federation of the Public Transport Sector, FPTS, Dickson Bugwa, the public transport stakeholders stated that it is unfortunate that the government is not doing anything about the fuel increment. To this, they say they have no other option but increase the fare prices effective tomorrow, Saturday the 18th.
In line with what all other sectors of the economy will be forced to do to compensate for the increased cost of operations. The increased cost has been necessitated by the recurring fuel prices increases that has now apexed in the latest unprecedented increase. Our passengers have equally been affected. PSV operators are thus justified to increase fares by a moderate of 10 to 20%, depending on the route type of operation, and passenger demand supply.
Addressing the press at the CBD earlier today, Bugwa said this is the best option they have available for now, as the business has already been affected before during the stringent measures the government had earlier put to curb the spread of COVID-19. They, however, thanked the government for earlier revising the measures to allow them carry to capacity.
To date, passengers numbers have dropped, resulting in reduced trips. Due to the state of the economy, passengers' ability to pay has been constrained due to the state of the economy, leading to low average fares. As you may also be aware, government did not extend any economic stimulus to the industry. Neither did it reduce any of the taxes and the levies. The industry is also laden with unofficial taxes by law enforcers. Hiyo ni marupurupu, ni hongo na kadhalika.
The stakeholders decried that the industry is currently operating on loans, as the fuel prices have recently been on the hike in the recent months. In the latest price review by the Energy and Regulatory Authority, EPRA, on the prices of a litre of petrol, diesel and kerosene increased by 7.58 Kenya shillings, 7.94 Kenya shillings and 12.97 Kenya shillings respectively. A litre of petrol in Nairobi is now retailing at 134.72 Kenya shillings, 115.6 Kenya shillings for diesel, while a litre of kerosene goes for 110.82 Kenya shillings. However, according to EPRA Director General Daniel Kiptoo, the prices are inclusive of the 8% value-added tax in line with the Finance Act 2018, the Tax Act 2018, the Tax Laws Amendment Act 2020, and the revised rates for the excess duty adjustment for inflation. This is a situation now in the hands of the government, as it has the power to change and enact laws. Efforts to stabilize fuel prices have, however, not cushioned customers from high cost of living in the country, where inflation rose to an 18-month high in August at 6.57%. The matatu industry stakeholders further called on the government to further revise the curfew hours to allow them to go back to the night travel, which they say will enable them recover the losses incurred during this season of COVID-19, among other demands. They say these measures have in a way triggered inflation in the country. Faith Imani Mugo for Hope TV Newswatch.
Now, in matters education, and particularly the CBC, as promised, Law Society of Kenya LSK President Nelson Harvey has filed a petition in court seeking conservatory orders against further implementation of the competency-based curriculum CBC. In the petition, Harvey wants the matter to be heard by an even number of judges of not less than 5. The petition is also seeking to know whether Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha can alter the system of education through sessional papers and policy decisions instead of legislation. But Education Cabinet Secretary Magoha has once again dismissed critics of the competency-based curriculum, saying it was the best thing to ever happen to the country's education system. Dolly Mirigi has a report.
The new curriculum has, however, come under heavy criticism from a section of political leaders and stakeholders who have argued that it was denting parent pockets by forcing them to buy unnecessary learning materials. The critics have also faulted the curriculum for being hurriedly implemented without proper public participation being done, as well as having teachers adequately trained.
Every time wanataka pesa, hizi pesa za nini? Kama hii CBC sisi tulisomea 8444 na sisi tuko sawa. Tunapata kazi ni tu vile government ijawahi tupatia kazi. Hii kitu wanatuletea hapa practical. Juzi naona hata kwa mtandao ati mtoto wa grade 2 anapika chapati. Ya nani?
Last week, LSK President Nelson Harvey had said that he will file an affidavit challenging the CBC program. On Friday, Harvey submitted the affidavit saying that there is wide public outcry in the manner in which the CBC curriculum has been imported from other jurisdictions without due process of the law applied in basic education. He argues in the absence of all stakeholders' involvement, children are forced to make career choices before acquiring knowledge and general learning necessary to inform selection of pathways in education and training when they lack the capacity to do so. According to the document, an order of injunction be and hereby made restraining the government Ministry of Education from further implementing the CBC in place of the existing 844 system. But Professor George Magoha has asserted that CBC was here to stay, saying that for once Kenya's education sector was on the right track by focusing on skills and competencies of learners other than ranking and cutthroat competition that has been on the center of the sector for long.
Very clearly, in simple English, I have no water in my mouth. The CBC is here to stay. We have a duty as parents and grandparents not to confuse our 5 million children, some of whom are already in their 5th year. And let that message sink very, very clearly. Because your children will not leave you alone. What happened is that we forgot the children. We said, since education is free, let us produce and take to school. Foul. The school must start in the house. And you don't have to be literate. Are we together here? You don't have to be literate. For simple asking whether the child has, how was the school, that means you have spent a minute with the child.
But Harvey argues that there is no identifiable document or instrument upon which the CBC curriculum can be traced as one developed in the manner set out in Section 73 and 74 of the Basic Education Act No. 14, 2013, as read together with Section 4 of the KICD Act No. 4 of 2013. He further claims that the government has undertaken their lawful action enumerated by publishing learning materials without any curriculum having been developed in accordance with the Constitution. It is his argument that the CBC curriculum has sought to impose an economic burden of procuring courses, books, learning materials, among other school items.
Because what your child requires from you, forget even about the CBC, the child requires your time.
Dolly Mirigi for Hope TV Newswatch.
A family in Mororo, Tana River County is in despair to find their missing kin who went missing earlier September this year. The family discovered Josiah Munyaka was missing after he failed to show up at his workplace, a farm he was working on in Mororo. They're now calling on the government to help find their son. Our reporter Wanjiru Mboro has the details.
Despair and frustration is what a family in Mororo has experienced for the last 2 weeks since their loved one Josiah Munyaka disappeared and yet to be found.
Chukua hatua, tukakuja kwa shamba tukamwangalia, hatukumpata. Tukaanza kumtafuta, tulienda hospitali, tukaenda pia polisi, tukaenda jela.
The family received information about their kin's missing after he failed to show up at the farm he was working in Mororo. Munyaka's family has since intensified search in hospitals including Garissa Referral Hospital, police stations, mortuaries and forests, but their efforts have borne no fruit. Onesmus Kialo, who spoke on behalf of the family, noted that the 14 bodies that have since been recovered by police from River Tana, none has been that of their kin, saying that they have hired a motorboat to search for his body.
Tukaona tumemkosa mahali tutajia anaweza kuwa tulikuwa tukipata ama maiti mingi zinapatikana kwa hii mto zenye tuko nazo kwa Garissa Mortuary Referral, lakini kwa imani yetu hatujampata.
Kialo asked the security agencies to increase security surveillance and officers in Mororo to curb growing crimes in the small town bordering Tana River and Garissa counties.
Sisi kama jamii ama wakazi wa area hii tunaona usalama wetu umezorota, na tunaomba serikali iweze kuingilia na itusaidie, na tunaomba pia reinforcement ya serikali na maafisa wa polisi wenye kwa mandogo ama Mororo tuweze kuongezewa askari wengine, maana uhalifu ni kama unakuja hapa ndio kikomo, ikitoka huko na huko mwisho yake linakuwa ni Mororo na hatujui ni nini.
Mororo Peace Corps chairperson Juma Omar urged the county government to install street lighting, especially on the Tana Bridge and the town, to improve security of the area.
Nafikiri county government ilikuwa meleta mambo stima hapo ikiwa inawaka sehemu yote. Hapo Mororo tunashangaa kwamba kutoka hapo kwa polisi mpaka hapo sehemu ya mteremko hakuna moto, na hatujui ni kitu gani ambaye inafanya isipo hiyo. Ndio mara mingi uhalifu unapatikana kwa sababu mwizi anataka kwenye giza.
Reporting for Hope TV News Watch, I'm Wanjiru Mboro.
Thank you, Wanjiru, for that report. Now, one person died in the Makadara area in Nairobi County after a wall of a building that was being demolished collapsed and fell on him. Hamartan Ouma died while being rushed to Makadara Health Center as over 8 families were forcefully evicted from a controversial piece of land.
Friday. Hata sasa hivi maiki imetolewa hapa. Makadara Health. Wanatumia tarimbo, kwa nini hizo na wameanza polepole tu.
Mimi ni my brother alikuwa anaishi hapa na alikuwa kazi Meru that day kukibomolewa. Fortunately mimi nilikuwa around, si kwenda kazi. So nikiwa pale hosi nilikuwa nimeenda hospitali. By the time nafika nikasikia ati nyumba inabomolewa. Kufika hapa nikakuta washaanza, mabati zilikuwa zishaanza kungolewa, of which those people wenye walikuwa wanawaka hapo ndani they were thieves. Au wenye walikuwa wanabomoa, walikuwa wanabungua mabati, wanaingia ndani, wanaanza kutoa zile vitu, wanaweza wakipeana on the other side ya dirisha. People lost their properties.
Sasa tulireport kwa kanjo, kukasemekana itastopiwa, hatujawahi ona stop. Wanaendelea tu, hata pengine hata kifo ingefika ya kijana.
Nyumba yetu turudishwe vile tulikuwa, sababu sasa tumeanza maisha mengine, kwanza kutafuta nyumba zingine. Maisha ndio hiyo ni mangumu, watoto tumepeleka shule. Sasa hata sasa hivi tumekuwa accommodated na our friends.
Kuna watu wanakaa mpaka kwa kanisa.
Now to some political stories. Deputy President William Ruto has dismissed attempts to reintroduce amendments to the Constitution through Parliament. While speaking to grassroots leaders from Bungoma at his Sugoi home in Uasin Gishu County, Ruto objected to the bill that seeks to have cabinet secretaries appointed from Parliament and asked MPs to focus on more priority issues of benefit to Kenyans. Richard Ohalo has more.
Deputy President William Ruto is not slowing down on his hype tours as witnessed by delegation meetings that he has almost every single day. On Friday, he met a delegation from Bungoma at his rural Sugoi home in Uasin Gishu County. Addressing the delegates, Ruto rubbished Constitution Amendment Bill put on the floor of the House that seeks to have Cabinet Secretary appointed from Parliament, a move that he says not priority for Kenyans at the moment. Ruto is of the opinion that such bill should not be debated in Parliament, adding that there were more pressing issues that needed members of Parliament attention.
Atibado sasa ile mambo ya vyeo wamepeleka bunge, sijui wanataka kutengeneza kiti gani, sijui vyeo gani. Mimi nataka niwaambie wabunge wa Kenya wawache kupoteza muda ya wananchi wakiongea mambo ya mamlaka. Waongee mambo ya wananchi. Kwanza tunataka sheria ya NHIF Act ile iko bunge ishughulikiwe kwa njia ya dharura ili tuanze mambo ya universal health coverage. Tunataka bale bunge ijadiliwe mambo ya housing act ndio tuanze mpango ya housing, vijana wapate kazi. Hiyo wanazunguka kule bunge ati wanataka kubadilisha katiba tena wafuatane na ile ya mambo ya vyeo na mamlaka. Tunawaambia wa Kenya, mahakama wote wamesema hawataki mambo ya vyeo, hawataki mambo ya kugawana mamlaka, wanataka mambo ya wananchi. Na mambo ya wananchi iko pale bunge.
Kikuyu Member of Parliament Kimani Ichung'wah, speaking in the same forum, pointed out that members of Parliament allied to Ruto will take on the challenge posed by Ruto.
Mheshimiwa Naibu wa Rais ametuchallenge hapa sisi kama wabunge. Mambo ambayo tunafaa kuwa tukiendesha ndani ya bunge. Mswada ambayo itakuja kusaidia maisha ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Na Mheshimiwa Naibu wa Rais, nataka nikuahidi tunarudi bunge Jumanne ijayo. Mswada wa NHIF ambayo itasaidia mwananchi wa kawaida mwenye ameumia na mabill za hospitali, za corona na magonjwa mengine. Hiyo mswada iko third reading, ikija jeshi lako lote la wabunge karibu 150 litakuwa bunge tayari kusupport hiyo mswada ya NHIF.
Ichung'wah took a swipe at Raila for his proposal on 1 Kenya 1 shilling, a promise he gave while in central Kenya, saying that all Kenya deserve, not only Kenyans from central region.
Anaenda kudanganya wa Kenya eti anataka bill ya kuongeza pesa mlima Kenya ati bilioni 53 ambayo ilipotea na BBI. Kwanza nikajiuliza, unaweza poteza kitu hauna?
Other leaders present including Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro, Mumias East MP Benjamin Washiali, Boniface Halwale, Uasin Gishu County Governor Jackson Mandago, among others, promised to rally their support behind William Ruto.
Na mimi Charuni.
Reporting for Newswatch, my name is Richard O. Hello.
Still in political matters, ODM delegates in Mombasa have elected Mohamed Hamid Hamis as the new Mombasa County Chair, replacing former nominated MCA Mohamed Hatimi. Ahead of ODM party high-level delegates meeting in Mombasa on Saturday, local ODM leaders have come out to speak on the importance of holding the meeting, saying it will strengthen the party in the coastal region. Led by Mvita MP Abdul Swamad Nasir, who is seeking the party ticket to succeed Deputy Party Leader Governor Hassan Joho, the MP said the aim of the delegates meeting will be to discuss on how to strengthen the party in the coast region through the recruitment of new members joining ODM, among other issues.
Kama mnavyojua, hii nafasi ya mwenyekiti ilikuwa imewachwa kwa muda mrefu kwa kifo cha aliyokuwa chairman wetu Hatimi. Mungu amweke pema peponi. Sasa ndio mwanzo nimechukua kiti, na event ya kwanza ama program ya kwanza tutakayokuwa nao ni hii ya Jumamosi ya delegates conference wa Coast Region. Going forward, tuko na kazi kubwa sana ya kuhakikisha tumerudisha chama katika ile hali iliyokuwa wakati wa nyuma. Kwa hivyo kazi ni kubwa. Leo nimekutana na officials wote wa chama katika maeneo bunge yote 6 ya Mombasa, na tumeanza kupanga mikakati ya kukirudisha chama katika hali yake.
The plans are very simple. To recapture what was initially ours. We won these elections last time. The elections were stolen from us. We're simply recapturing what was always belonging to ODM. The ideals that Kenyans have. Tunataka kuregesha yale yote ambayo kwamba tumeweza kuyafanya, yakiwemo moving around in the whole country. Maadili ambayo kwamba tumeweza kuyafanya, historical injustices, all these things people pegged hope on ODM. We won the elections, tukaibiwa. We are now simply saying we want to realize the dreams of Kenyans. Ingekuwa ni ODM, serikali ODM, leo tungelikuwa hatuna mambo haya ya petroli kupanda ovyo ovyo.
Na Wakenya wajue chama cha chungwa Pwani kiko imara, tena kiko imara zaidi. Na hapo tutakuwa na our candidate, our future candidate for 2022, tutakuwa naye na ataeleza sera zake na mikakati. Na sisi wanajeshi wa chama cha chungwa tunataka kuambia wale sijui ni tangatanga kama sijui ni kina nani, hii Pwani iko na wenyewe ni ODM. Tuko tayari kwa mapambano ya kisiasa.
Baba alisema jana ya kwa kuwa kuvunjika kwa mwiko sio mwisho wa mapishi. Kwa hivyo haya maazimio ambayo tutakuwa nayo bado si lazima tutaipika, na haya na tutaila, na maazimio haya ambayo tuko nayo ni maazimio ya kuona kuwa tumeweza kuiangalia hali ya mwananchi, kuifanya hali ikuwe nafuu. Lakini kubwa ambalo tunataka kuzungumza ni kwa kuwa party leader wetu tunamuunga mkono, na party leader wetu atakuwa na foot soldiers wake mahali popote. Na hapa ndani ya Coast Region tunasema hatuwezi kubabaishwa, hatuwezi kutishwa. Chama kiko imara na tunajua yale ambayo Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga amefanya.
Nataka wale wote wanaotaka kuingia ODM tunawakaribisha waje tufanye kazi, tuhakikishe ya kwamba issues za wananchi zimeshughulikiwa, tukiwa na kinara wetu Raila Amolo Odinga akibadilisha nchi yetu ya Kenya 2022.
Over 7,000 squatters in Mavoko, Machakos County are protesting invasion of brokers over the controversial East African Portland Cement Company land. The residents say they only stand to benefit by negotiating directly with KCB officials on the ongoing process of reverting the piece of land to locals. According to Syokimau Mavoko Community Association Chairman Pius Musembi, they were ready to negotiate with KCB, but their problem was the Antidote Agencies Limited, a private company that has come in between the community and the bank, disguising as a latter's representative.
We negotiate na KCB. Shida yetu ambayo imekuwa kubwa ni watu wameingia wanajiita Antidote Agencies Limited. Tumefuatilia tukapata hiyo kampuni imekuwa registered 2020 January, na director wake anaitwa Willy Kimuyu Mwange, na hatujui mambo ya hiyo kampuni. Tunaambiwa hiyo kampuni ndio ina recognizewa na KCB na agents wanaitwa Tyson agents, kwamba ndio representatives wa community. Nani alipeleka hiyo kampuni inaitwa Antidote Agencies Limited kwa hizo ofisi mbili, na akasema ni ndio representatives wa community hapa. Tunataka tujue hiyo kampuni imetoka wapi na ichunguzwe, tujue mienendo yake ni nini, kwa sababu kuna mahali itafikia kulingana na community vile nasikia community wetu hapa wanaongea, ifanye hii shamba ikuwe na insecurity.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Keep it Hope TV.
Newswatch brought to you by Hope Creatives.
creativity without limits.
Our Christian life is not just about God always stepping in when you are in trouble. But sometimes you need to go through the valley of the shadow of death, and God will say, angels, stand away. He must go through that. She must go through that. Because out of this would come something greater and more beautiful.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content, of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live. Newswatch brought to you by Hope Creatives. Creativity without limits.
Thank you for joining us. On COVID-19 numbers today, Kenya's positivity rate has dropped to 5.9%. The number of COVID-19 numbers also dropping to 444 from a sample size of 7,511 tested in the last 24 hours. At the same time, total confirmed positive cases are 245,781, and cumulative tests so far conducted are 2,486,331. On a positive note, 700 patients have recovered, and total recoveries now stand at 236,169. Sadly, 4 patients have succumbed to the disease, pushing the cumulative fatalities to 4,965. On admissions, 1,472 patients are currently admitted in various health facilities countrywide, while 3,309 are under the home-based isolation and care program. 119 patients are in the ICU, 86 of whom are on ventilatory support, 27 on supplemental oxygen, and 6 are under observation. Meanwhile, hundreds of matatu operators on Friday turned up to participate in the ongoing mass vaccination exercise by Nairobi Metropolitan Services NMS and Matatu Owners Association. The exercise is part of a 3-day exercise aimed at vaccinating 100,000 drivers and conductors in 10 selected bus stations. This comes even as Kenya on Friday received the first batch of the Pfizer vaccine doses with the arrival of 795,600 doses from the United States.
It is very, very important because it is only here in this industry whereby you must know that our crew handle a minimum of 100 people every day of different characters, and some of them have not been vaccinated. But what I'm saying, that take this advantage, don't wait for the last day, start from the first day, so that by the last day we've done all that is supposed to be done. From the terminal into the cars and along the road, our crew are rubbing shoulders with very many people. That's why I said a minimum of 100. Otherwise, it goes to almost 500 people in a day. And you're not always very close to your neighbor that is a passenger. And if you don't take this initiative, then it will be very unfortunate. We'll keep on wearing masks for very many years.
We are partnering with the National Multi-Agency Center, with CHEB and the Matatu Owners Association to bring the COVID-19 vaccine closer to the people. So we are really happy we are here this day at this bus station, and we shall be in all the 10 corridors within the city of Nairobi, and we'll be starting today and moving on with this campaign until Sunday. But we are also going to be doing outreaches in all the informal settlements in all the 17 constituencies within the city of Nairobi, and we are accelerating this effort starting today and will continue until the end of next week. However, I just want to inform the public that we are giving the COVID-19 vaccination centers in health facilities across the city, numbering 39, and by the end of next week, we will have given the vaccine to 120 health facilities within the city.
Still in health matters, Siaya County, which is among high HIV prevalence counties in the country, has reported a significant drop in its prevalence rate from 24.8% in 2016 to now at 17%. This drop, according to Impact Research and Development Organization, IRDO, has been made possible by directing more focus to key populations which are seen to be super spreaders. Speaking to journalists during a meeting that brought together health service stakeholders, Technical Supervisor Stephen Ojowi said the organization, through its program dubbed Tuungane 3, picked on the targeted groups and enrolled them into the program, enabling them to receive HIV/AIDS services that has allowed the key population to suppress the virus through adhering to medication that allows them to not transmit HIV.
Initially, if you look at Siaya is among the priority counties in terms of HIV prevalence. We have Siaya is leading, followed by Homa Bay, Kisumu, Migori, and then we have Busia. So if you look at the prevalence initially, when we came here around 2016, the prevalence was over 20% for Siaya County, and today we are probably talking around 17%. So there's a lot of reduction in terms of HIV prevalence. Just I think that could be attributed to the services that we've offered, especially to the key populations who are the drivers of the epidemic. One of the aspects that we've been supporting is key populations, and as we know, key populations are the population that is at a higher risk of HIV infection based on their day-to-day activities. For example, we have the female sex workers, we have the MSM, those are men who have sex with men, and then we also have people who inject drugs. They are at an elevated state of acquiring HIV based on what they do. So as Impact, we were able to target these people because they are the drivers of HIV epidemic. Hence, they have to be given services. Why I say they are at the center of HIV epidemic is because if you look at their prevalence, they have a prevalence of around 29.3% among the female sex workers, 18.2% among the PWIDs, and 18.3% among the men who have sex with men. And they contribute about 30% of new infections in the country. And therefore, any meaningful fight against HIV epidemic must target the key populations. And as IRDO, we were able to give them services that included biomedical services, we were able to give them behavioral services, as well as the structural services. So we were able to map them out, enroll them into the program, and retain them in a way that they were able to receive quarterly HIV services among the key populations. And that has worked well, and we've been working very well with the county government of Siaya to ensure that they receive services, and all the obstacles that have been met, we've been able to come together with the team of the county government to ensure that the key populations receive HIV services as required.
The rising rate of kidnapping and murder of children in the country has been alarming, raising a lot of concern from various quarters. According to experts, those who perform these heinous acts are driven by various things, including nature and nurture. According to Grace Ahati, who prepared this report, detailed what goes on in the mind of a serial killer and the telltale signs to look out for. Take a look.
In the recent times, the country has experienced a wave of killings and disappearances of children, raising more questions than answers. According to a study by United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, criminal activity is responsible for many more deaths worldwide than armed conflict and terrorism combined. Media reports in the country have so far recorded deaths of about 20 children who were kidnapped and found dead in the past 3 months, some of the perpetrators confessing to have committed the crimes. Even with cases pending in court for those that have been arrested for such crimes, serial killers prove to be dangerous to the existence of the next generation. But what really makes a serial killer? Are they born or made?
You can talk of it as both, because there's some genetic predisposition for all mental disorders, including personality disorders. So there's a genetic element, so the element of being born, in that, with that predisposition. And you can also bring in the element of made, because there's an aspect of, there's some things that predispose one to live a life of crime. So the environment in which the person grows in, the fact that probably they don't have an authoritative figure or a parent who is able to guide them in the right way, they are not brought up with that fear of the consequences of doing something wrong. These people who have this antisocial personality disorder have this issue of lack of empathy, and they also are very charming in terms of if they come to talk to you, they'll be very charming and can get you to do anything that they want. And at the end of it, they have an ulterior motive most of the time. They have what is called impulsivity. So they do things on impulse, and also they lack fear.
There are various theories that explain more about serial killers and signs to look out for.
The first one is what we call rational theory, where crime is committed because a person has decided to commit the crime. Crime is by choice. And then we have the biological and biosocial. This theory asserts that crime is biological. Somebody is born a criminal, and that's why they commit the crimes they commit. And then we have the learning theory, that crime is learned, that a person learns crime from observation. And then there's the labeling theory, where this person has always been hearing that he's a bad person, he's a bad kid, and because he's constantly hearing that, they develop that behavior of becoming a crime.
From a spiritual perspective, what pushes someone to a level of committing murder?
These serial killers, they are psychopaths, they are sick, they are people who need help. And I think church is open, so they need to come to us, we pray for them, or reach out to them where they are, and we pray with them. We offer deliverance, we offer counseling, we offer social support, because some of them, and again even working with people, because some of them, they are doing this because they feel like they are rejected in the society. They have no place. So we can also accommodate them, but accommodate them and we disciple them so that they are reintegrated in our society.
Most families have been exposed to dangers of murders, but what is the role of parenting in light of these issues?
When you notice your child is defiant, when you notice your child is stealing or bullying, don't take it lightly. Just try and address those issues as they come up.
Families that have fallen victims to the perpetrators have been left to live in fear and even lost hope in life.
What I'll tell the families that they have lost their loved one through, these killings, one is to forgive. There is a place of forgiving. Another thing I would tell them is to allow God to be God. There are many things as human beings that we cannot resolve, or we have no power over it. So they have to forgive, they have to accept that it happened, and then they move on.
However, there are recommendations for ensuring safety of the children.
Once a child is able to speak, I think the parents or the guardians should train this child first and foremost in knowing their name, that they should know their full name, and they should know the name of their parent or guardian, and they should know the cell or telephone number of their parent. At least the parent should make sure that that child memorizes the phone number of at least one of the parents or guardian. And they should also know the place where the parents work, at least the dad or the mom, one of them, or the guardian.
To reduce the rate of serial killings in the country, the government has a role to play.
They need to have machinery. They need to do their investigation. They need to know what is causing this. They need to have a rehabilitation center where people can go and seek help, because government have machineries. And again, they also need to bring people who are caught in the act to the book, so that it can act as a deterrent, from other people. They will know that if I do this, this is what will happen to me.
In conclusion, there are solutions that can help reduce murder cases in the country.
There are a lot of interventions for personality disorders, starting from psychological interventions in terms of psychotherapy, medication to deal with some of these impulsive actions and negative behaviors, but addressing them from a young age is the most important thing.
Grace Ahati, reporting for Hope TV Newswatch.
Thank you for that informative report, Grace. Now, at least 100 students from poor families in 4 Western Kenya counties have received scholarships to see through their entire period of study. The African Canadian Continuing Education Access Kenya awarded 1.3 million shillings scholarship to the students from various vulnerable families in counties of Kakamega, Bungoma, Vihiga, and Busia to be supported for their post-secondary studies.
655 students applied for the scholarship. We only interviewed 220. Then we went for home visits. After that, we have selected 100 who will benefit from this program. That is, 70 students will be joining university, 20 college, and 10 TVET. We have given them checks to join the university. Those who are in university, we have awarded them 10,000. Those who are joining colleges, we have given them 20,000 per semester. And those for TVET, we have also given them 20,000 per semester.
We need to have our own Kenyans contribute towards our own children so that they can have education. So I appeal to all people of goodwill. God has been good to some of us, and it will be nice if we can also contribute so that we can help somebody that we don't know to become successful in life.
I want to thank Access team for having given us this chance, at least to pursue our dreams. And I really pray that God may give them energy every day as they are out here to at least get money so that they can able to sustain us in school.
The population that we have got 100, it is going to add to the population that we already have as graduates, 6,000. And we are doing this to network with those that have benefited. And our main aim is to touch us all. Having been touched as a beneficiary, I graduated 92, and under this program, I've been able to touch other groups.
It is really nice to be supported under this program, and I believe I will succeed in life.
Let's move to some international news. U.S. President Joe Biden has signed an executive order to allow targeted sanctions to be imposed against individuals and groups perpetrating violence and impeding humanitarian aid in Ethiopia. This becomes the strongest warning yet from the U.S. government against those committing rights abuses or blocking aid in Ethiopia. President Biden also called on all parties of the conflict in the northern Tigray region to negotiate, saying there was no military solution to the crisis. This comes just a day after the UN expressed concern, saying that hundreds of trucks carrying aid to the northern Ethiopian region of Tigray had gone missing. UN's humanitarian team in Ethiopia reported that none of the 149 trucks in a convoy that went to the Tigrayan capital of Mekelele last week has returned. Added that since 12th July, only 38 out of the 466 trucks that entered Tigray have returned. Health officials in Kabul, Afghanistan, have sounded an alarm over an impending COVID-19 disaster. They The officials are worried that inadequate medical supplies continue to be a setback in the fight against COVID-19. This even as the Taliban remains in control of Afghanistan. According to UNICEF, less than 4% of the population has been vaccinated from the deadly virus. The World Health Organization has in recent days issued a warning on the healthcare crisis in Afghanistan, where millions of people are vulnerable to hunger and illnesses. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with the business news. Keep it Hope TV.
Newswatch brought to you by Hope Creatives. Creativity without limits.
Join us every Sunday for unlimited, uplifting, powerful worship, only on Extended Worship.
Whether you are fat or thin, and for me, I don't consider myself fat. I consider myself good for my purpose, to hug women. When they come crying, and they come and hug me, they just come and I hug them and they cry and cry and cry until they are comfortable.
We praise together, we praise Him.
Thank you for staying with us. Now to some business news. Women in the mineral-rich Moi Coal Basin in Kitui County have come out to decry inconsistencies in land demarcations, issuance of title deeds, and lack of involvement of women for fear of being left out. According to the women, land demarcations that were recently done in parts of Moi, Mutitu, and Zombe areas within the coal basin had inconsistencies like incorrect names and identification numbers, with the women complaining that they are not being involved alongside their husbands. They are of the opinion that they stand to lose whenever coal mining begins. This even as coal mining in the area seems to have hit a snag, the government offering no information on whether coal mining project might start soon.
You know, there are two hills here. Mara mingi wanarika wameachwa katika kuongelea mambo na ardhi, umilikaji na hata pia katika ile mambo na umilikaji wa mali nyingine ya familia. So ombi langu la leo ilikuwa naomba kama wanarika wote, isiwe ni mvulana ama msichana, wote ni watoto, usisho katika umilikaji wa ardhi na wa mali.
Sauti ile tunapasa katika our government, both in national na county, ni sisi wa mama tusikike, tusishwe katika zile titling. Na tuko na shida katika zile titling deed katika Moi Basin. Mwanzo iko na makosa. Ndio tunatuma ujumbe kwa fiscal planner warudie ile process ama ile duty ianze upya, na ikiwekwa upya tuko na zile shida zilitokea. Ile ya mwanzo kulikuwa na ile ndapo ama shamba moja inamilikiwa na watu wawili, na tuko na shida jingi. Zile title deeds, ile majina imewekwa misspelling ama majina imeandikwa na imeomit na haina title deeds. Hizo ni makosa katika isilo title deeds. Ndio tunataka hizo demand zetu zisikike.
Sisi tuko na shida sana wakati tulipowacha na wazee wetu. Tuko na shida ya tukitaka kutumia hiyo pichaka yetu ama mali yetu, hatuna ile barua inaitwa suspension letter, na tunaitafuta. Tukienda kuitafuta tunatumia pesa mingi, ama na hiyo pesa hatuna. Inaweza kukaa sana bila kupata hiyo barua, na tunaitisha pesa mingi. Inatakikana tusitaki kifo, tutafute judge ndio tupate hiyo barua, na wakati huo hatuna pesa.
The International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, has launched a program to support local agribusiness enterprises owned or led by the youth in the country. The venture, dubbed Job Open to the Youth, JOY, targets to strengthen the ability of small and medium enterprises as well as startups to improve their agricultural productivity, contribute to food security and nutrition.
Simple example was on the focus here is in both wage and self-employment. In which case we have targets for Kenya and targets for Cameroon. And again, we are implementing this project in 3 counties, in Nakuru, Kilifi, the coast, and Kakamega. So at the end of it all, we expect to create or rather develop enterprises that can also, generate employment opportunities for the youth, as well as also create, some wage employment for the youth. We are looking at a ratio of 70% wage and 30%, self-employment. At the same time, ensuring that there's gender balance, 50% female youth and 50% the male youth. Now, the reason we are launching the project here in Nakuru is because we have identified, or rather the project identified Koalib, where we are now, as the principal hub for this project. And then now we've gone further to we also identified a hub in Kilifi and a hub in Kakamega. The hub in Kilifi is based at the Pwani University, while the satellite hub in Kakamega is based at Shambarere College. And we have to move to
Let's move to some sporting action. Kenya 100 meters record holder Ferdinand Omanyala is aiming big and is hoping to break the national record at the Absekip Kano Classic Continental Tour at Kasarani Stadium tomorrow. The 25-year-old has had a stellar season, breaking the national record thrice in less than a month earlier, equaling the previous record fast, then going ahead to smash this record thrice. He represented the country in the 100-meter race at the Olympics and managed to get to the semi-finals, a first-ever appearance over the distance onto that stage. The Nairobi meeting is a gold label event organized by World Athletics and is named after the renowned Kenyan athlete Kipchoge Keino.
So long as you're ready and you have a mind set to do anything, you can do anything. Meeting Gatlin today was a big thing, and I'm happy about it. And looking forward to the competition tomorrow and see what happened. I respect him a lot because he's been an idol in this sport, and I'm creating my path again. I want to follow the footsteps of the life of Gatway. And we've been talking sprinters things out here, so.
I can say when I was in Tokyo, when I was covering myself with that flag of Kenya, I was so happy I've defended my title. And also I've shown other ladies out there, young mothers, athletes out there that everything is possible in life. If you decide to go for maternity leave and come back, you can come back strongly. So it's just to motivate mothers, athletes out there to come up and show their talents that everything is possible in life. And going forward to Tokyo, it was really hard for us, as you all know that it was pandemic here 2020. But for us, we really put our hearts forward to look forward to a year, especially year 2020 Olympics, 2021 Olympics.
The clarity of the situation is he's a pioneer, you know, like for your country. You know, what he's doing right now, what he's done already, you know, no one has gotten to the level he's at right now. So it's not about the pressure, like he said, and pushing him to be the next great sprinter in the world. Allow him to see what the world offers him. Allow him to go out there and race comfortable in the world against competition. And I was giving him tips earlier of how, you know, take some time in the season, rest, and then come back into the season so you'll be able to race against the American sprinters, the Jamaicans, because what's really going to matter is not just times, what you can run, but making sure that you can get medals around your neck and represent your country very well.
FKF Premier League 2021 winners Tusker FC are set to face off with Artists Solar 7 from Djibouti this weekend in the CIF Champions League preliminary round. Tusker have today finished their training at Nyayo Stadium ahead of the second leg match at the same venue. The two played out to a 1-1 draw in the first leg. Clash played Saturday at El Haj Hassan Stadium in Djibouti City. Ibrahim Joshua gave Tusker the lead after 14 minutes with a well-struck volley, while the Hots pulled level through Alain Traore's well-struck free kick. The winner of the two-legged preliminary round match will face Zamalek in the second round, scheduled mid-October.
Tuko wote, tumetrain wote vizuri, kila mtu iko sawa. Kidogo injury Ibrahim ndo alikuwa na knock ambaye alipata vibuti, lakini naona anajaribu sana. Hata huko tungeweza tu, isipokuwa ile vile tulitembea ndio ilitufanya tukakuwa chini kidogo, na sasa tuko home, at least tumerest kuliko vile tulivyokuwa kule. Najua players wana energy ya kucheza na wana roho, na pia wana desire, wanataka kuwin hiyo game, so nafikiri tutakuwa vizuri, lakini tutafanya mabadiliko kidogo kulingana vile tuko sasa. Kila mtu huko kule tulikuwa wachache, tulikuwa 19 peke yake. Even substitution ilikuwa ngumu kidogo sababu tulikuwa less, lakini sasa kila mtu yuko, tuna options. Nani anaweza anza, nani anaweza kaa nje akuje baadaye, so tutaamua.
I believe going in tomorrow's game, now that we played our opponents, we have our work cut out. We know how to approach the game much better. The first leg, we didn't know much about our opponents, but once we played them, we picked up a few things that was going to help us in tomorrow's game. So come tomorrow, we're going to go out, a positive attitude, positive energy, and try to get the win. I believe that it's a good team. We are playing Soul as a team. We are not playing Song. We are not playing Sako individually. We are playing them as a team, and I believe it's a good team. So we'll be preparing for each and every player, not one individual.
The 5-day Football Kenya Federation FKF Physical Endurance Test PET training has concluded today in Kericho County. The training exercise saw a total of 247 referees drawn from the FKF leagues taken through endurance and agility drills to test their physical ability as well as medical tests to ascertain their fitness to officiate the league matches. FKF Deputy President Doris Petra said that the federation deems to conduct quarterly referee PET training, which helps to ensure the leagues are officiated properly. We start by posing a question. Have you ever sat down and thought about a day's events to a typical parents? Well, to some, they play the role of a mother and a father every single day. Single parenthood is one of the toughest jobs. Our reporter Dolly Merigi had a chat with Martin and Ogato, who have been forced to raise their children after the demise of their wives.
Raising children is a full-time job with quite a number of challenges that definitely needs the input of both parents and the society at large. But sometimes the family setup is broken due to the death of one parent or some certain differences that makes the family to live apart. This is a story of Ogato and Martins.
In most cases, when this happens, children mostly remain with their mother. However, today's society is not up to the challenge of communal arrangement of raising children. It wasn't the case for Ogato and Martin, who took all the dual roles of a father and a mother in their children's life. Martin Onyango is an entrepreneur. He lost his wife 5 years ago and would later remarry, but separated with his second wife.
Sit down.
Martin says parenting today is very challenging.
It became tough. We started cooking by ourselves. We started teaching them, life can change. Mama's gone. What if I also go? What's the way forward? So I decided to take it upon myself to also just try and teach them how to cook and just show them way around. And
he says one has to sacrifice and commit.
It's tough. But again, it gives you bond with your children. The greatest thing is bond. At some point, I was not very close with my firstborn, but the bond has really grown deeper, and now he can approach me and share what he's going through. But the greatest bond I have is a young guy, because he was left when he was young, and he saw me as the only person who would really listen to him and understand him. So it brought in very, very close bond between me and the boys, and that's for sure I'm grateful.
He tells single parents out there, especially fathers, to do their best.
Now that you've taken the mantle of both the mother and the father, you have to work more harder. Because at times there's some things that it's only a mother can address. You're trying to be in their shoes. It's never easy for a man to be a mother. But also consult, just ask around, Get mentors who have passed through the same road. Listen to them, ask them, and they will give you direction.
Richard Omote, Thomas Ogato, his four names like he'd say. On the other hand, had 2 children to raise when he lost his wife due to illness and took on the challenge with full force with no regrets to count.
It was hectic, and that is the time when I lost most of my friends during that moment, because I never knew what I'm supposed to do. Here it is. I'm not used to be inside the house. I have to be inside the house. I have to take care of them so that they go to school. The other one was not going to school. I have to take care of him until he reached the age going, so that I'm able to move ahead. And unfortunately, during that time, I was not working. Suddenly, my wife was a breadwinner. I had been retrenched. At the back of my mind, I asked myself, these people who are telling me that I should find somebody else, where was she? Was I having another person whom I could bring in and fit in the same shoes as my wife? I could not find one. I had to start now setting goals for myself. How are these children going to school? How are they going to eat? And how are we going to be?
But the father of 2 says it has not been all rosy. He had to bring out the mother in him to manage his new role.
This is a difficult thing. I tell you, there are times when you put those things aside and you say, I'm the mother and I'm the father. Where need be, that is a time you have to ask maybe the aunties to come in where necessary. But the instructions have to work.
Both Ogato and Martin say that it was in the church that they both found hope and strength to walk the journey alone as single fathers.
Church is the one which came in and handy so much. Even though, yes, they were my sisters who came in, but the church did a lot in it. They did a lot.
Visiting from church members now and then. The senior pastor organized an entourage of pastors to just come and sit with us and just pray with us. So I'd say I really got support. And also friends, it didn't take days, after every week or so, I'll get visitors just coming to pray with me, friends just coming to lift me up.
Pastor Michael Musembe of Jesus Abdon Center in Langata says the church is where they find refuge and comfort, a home for everyone, and that single dads aren't an exemption.
Support groups are families, which we put them together and we commend a dad to that family so that they can walk along with him. And that family will be there basically for guidance and accountability, and be able to allow the dad to share his issues and his concerns. Number two thing that we do as a church is have programs that cause the single dads to be committed.
Single parenthood is a big problem because children don't get a chance to socialize with the gender that is absent, according to Jane Wambugu, a psychologist.
Mostly the children imagine it's me who has caused this divorce, it's me who has caused this death. So the father should be in a position depending on the age of the child. That is very critical. And also the temperament. We are all wired, if I may use that word, differently. So the way the child responds will depend on how they are, and of course how they have been brought up. The father should be able, or whoever is talking to the child, should be able to understand the temperament of this child and be able to tell them, you and your mom, me and your mom, we are not going to stay together. And because of that, I am most probably going to get you another mom. When the child is very small, it's very easy for them to adapt. But when they are a little older, like the teenager, they find it very hard, especially if they know the mother is alive.
Both Ogat and Martin want parents to choose and put their children first, no matter what is going on with their lives.
It's not easy to be a single father. It is not easy just to know that now all your children depend on you, and you go out there, you're already broken by yourself. And at times you come back home and you feel like you want to cry, but you see these two boys, you can't cry. But I came to realize that it's good to cry.
And when we come, even if it is support, it's very little. You are told you are a man, you should manage. So you have to try hard, day in, day out. It's you and your God.
In the long run, the single parents needs to rise up, dust themselves up, and forge ahead.
Keep them in our prayers. In the prayer groups, we pray for them. We have special prayer days for the single dads to ensure that their spirits are strong, even as they serve the Lord and as they become the best of the dads and the best of the parents at the moment for the children.
Dolly Rigi for Hope TV.
And that's where we end our bulletin tonight. Thank you for keeping me company. My name is Grace Wangui. Sign language interpreter tonight has been Boniface Mureithi. Enjoy your weekend. I leave you with the weather forecast.